Hello everybody, welcome to Gregg's Vintage Workshop, where I'm restoring history one piece at a time. Today we're going to be looking at part 2 of the 1929 Victor R32 TRF radio. In part 1 I started taking things apart. I was doing some testing on the transformers where I found that the input and interstage transformers were no good. They were open. And in part 2, I take that a little bit further and I go ahead and I do some checks on the output transformer. So since it shares a CAN with the interstage, I don't feel a lot of confidence that I'll get that apart without damaging it. So I'm going to replace all 3 transformers. So I do a little testing on the output. And then I removed the filter condenser can and I get that apart. And I show you how I did that. And then I rebuild a filter condenser board and fit into that can. And we get that all back together again. So without further ado, let's move on to part 2 of the 1929 Victor R32 radio. So based on the fact that this is basically 1.2 volts here, and this is 14 volts here, 14.09 volts, and my calculated impedance based on the DC resistance of 2.7 and the DC resistance of 534 give me an impedance of 3.4 and 668. Doing that square root gave me 14 to 1 turns ratio. I'm going to say this is a 14 to 1 turns ratio output transformer. Now I just got to figure out what transformer is going to work for this. So that'll give me a new output transformer. I'm still on the hunt for the interstage and the input because unfortunately with them being bad I can't get complete calculation, right? Anyway, I wanted to show you guys that. I'm working on the transformer bit. I got to figure out what I can do for interstage, I got to figure out what I can do for input, and I got to figure out what I can do for an output. I think I've got the output sort of figured out. We'll go from there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this interstage and output transformer can removed from this chassis because I know I've got to change those. Like I said, I figured out that the output transformer is a 14 to 1 ratio transformer. Just for the heck of it, I did the same test on the interstage, and unfortunately, like I knew it wouldn't work because the one winding is open. I was just like, well, maybe if I apply some power to it, maybe it'll come to life or something with the, but no, it's open. So I got to take this out. So really what I got to do is bin these 6 tabs. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I wonder if there's 4, if there's 6. It looks like there's almost looks like there's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Interesting. Okay. Let's see if I can get a little screwdriver underneath there first to get them started. Pretty stiff little tabs, that's for sure. Alright. There's what the little screwdriver will do. Now I'll go to the bigger boy. There's 1. Hopefully we don't break these tabs off. There's 2. There's 3. And there's 4. There's 5. And there's 6. Support this thing so it don't fall out of there. Alright. Let's see if she comes out of there. Yep, there it is. Alright. There it is. as I had labeled it. There's the interstage and output transformer. Alright, I guess we might as well take a look at that. Alright, so what I did was, since I already had the input transformer wires lifted, I went ahead and just took it out too. So that's out. Getting ready to lift the wires off of the big condenser can here, and then we'll get it out as well. That way I have everything out that I gotta mess with. So let's get started on that. Waiting for the heating soldering iron to heat up, and we'll go ahead and see if we can lift these wires off of here. I'll show you in a minute when I get this done, but I also, besides taking photos, I've drawn diagrams for all of this stuff, so I can get it all back on properly, hopefully. That's the idea anyway. Well, that really don't want to come off, does it? There it goes. These are fairly evident how they go, but you know what? It could be a couple months before I get this back together again, so better off to just mark it as best I can to make sure that I get it back on. Better to have too much information than not enough. I've been burnt multiple times by not having enough, so I make sure that I don't do that. Get these two over here and two yellow ones, and I got a black one over here, that black wire that runs over to number 13 of the power transformer. In fact, I might have to get it first. That one will get replaced because it's rubber, and as you can just see, if you can see, I mean, just that little bit of movement broke all the insulation off of that. Alright, so let's see. That can goes all the way down to here, so I think I've got 8 total that I got to take loose. 8 total that I got to take loose. See if we can get these tabs bent up. Finish them with the bigger screwdriver. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, now I gotta rotate this around. I can get in there to knock these other ones loose. Attempt to knock these other ones loose. Boy, that rubber wire is so brittle. Alright, there's that one. Yeah, I can barely see that one because the harness is under it. Harness is over it, I guess I should say, not under it. But I'm sure you guys knew what I meant. I think there might be out of screen, but you know what I'm doing. Alright, see if I can get you back in the screen here. Alright. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. And let's see, we got, I think that's all of them. See if she's coming down out of there. There it comes. Let's see if I can get the rest of that out of there. There it comes. Alright, I bumped you guys. There it is. Alright. Cool. Alright, let me clean the bench off here a little bit and we'll come back. Alright, I think we'll start with this condenser can first. It looks like the top portion might come off. Albeit, I don't know how easy, but it looks like it should come off. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Started. I want to bend it. Let's see. See if we can give it a little persuasion without damaging it. Alright, so I think I need to get this other side loose here. Like that. There we go. Okay. A little more persuasion on this side. Now, the problem is we've got these rivets that are probably holding this plate to the leads, and I don't know if I'll get that off without, I don't want to bend that plate up, but I got a feeling that it's not going to come up without me somehow severing those wires or grinding these rivets off. I really don't want to grind those rivets off because I want to reutilize this plate. I don't want to rip this up. Well, I think the best way to do this is to go ahead and grind these off, and then I'll just have to use some other type of a rivet or screw with a nut to hold it back on there, because I don't want to screw this up. Let me get my little die grinder out, and I'm going to grind those heads off. Turn that light off, a little too bright. Just punching those out now. Alright, let's see if that'll come up now. Yeah. Yep, it's doing what I wanted it to do now. There it is. Alright, and as we suspected, full of tar, tar. I've got a couple of ideas for this. One is to just get it super cold and whack it a few times with my plastic hammer so that I don't, a rubber mallet, so I don't screw the can up. I need to get this off some. Maybe not. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to take this off. Well, I don't know if I'll take it off camera. Let me go get a mallet. Alright, so it sounds pretty hollow. You can hear that. That's hollow. Kind of solid on the bottom. Kind of solid on the sides. I mean, I can actually spread it slightly. I'm thinking it could come out of there. I don't want to damage my can at all. I'm thinking, here's what I'm actually thinking. I'm thinking I should put it up in my freezer. Let it sit in the freezer for a couple hours. At least an hour. And make the tar a little more brittle. And maybe it will, I can break it up a little bit. And maybe it'll come out easier. I do need to get this off though, because I don't want this to get damaged. If at all possible. I mean, it's just going to be a matter of getting my leads cut, if I can get it high enough to do that. Last thing I want to do is damage that. Something happened. Be it good or bad, something happened. Here. I see a wire here. There's a wire there. There we go. Alright, so I got saved my strip. So I can clean that up. And that's how we'll make sure that we utilize that when we go back together. Alright, so I'm going to put this in the freezer. I mean, the other thing I can do is I can put some heat to it and try and get it out too, but it seems fairly loose, so I'm thinking that if I just get it brittle and smack it a few times, enough of the tar falls out, that it'll probably fall out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so we'll set that aside. And I'll take a look at the input transformer. It's going to be the same situation here. I'm sure that they've got super short leads. Zoom in a little bit. That's right, super short leads. And I'm not probably going to be able to get much of this apart until I somehow get that to come out. I don't want to damage. Don't want to damage things. That's really all it is. It's cardboard. I'm bumping you guys with my shoulder. Alright, here's those two. Alright, I think that those are pretty much out of the way now, but like I said, I got a feeling that ain't going to come up much because of the wires. Maybe. There's some light on the subject here. See the wires in there quite easily, actually. It looks like it's got cardboard on the sides, on each of the short sides. Wish I could get that thing out intact, because maybe I'd be able to figure out how to fix that maybe. Wires definitely look corroded. Alright, I gotta figure out how to try and get this out. I'll be so lucky to just be able to smack it and have it fall out, I'm sure. That would be too easy. Alright, let me see what I can do with this. Alright, well, as you guys can see here, I got a big old mess on my bench. Zoom in a little bit. The meter's shutting off. So, this was the input transformer. I got it out. Very carefully, I whittled away at it. I beat it around a little bit with my hammer, and pieces fell out, started falling out, so it started getting looser and looser. As you can see, they've got a film, like cardboard film, that separated it from the actual can. Looks like I had two sides and a bottom, like that. Okay. So, what I was trying to do, and I thought that I had found it, as it got looser and looser, I saw a separation right here. This is terminal 1, and it went right here. And this is before I got this out. So before I got it out, I could kind of get in there. So I connected up to this and ran around to the various terminals. I got, I think I was going 1 to 3. Yeah, 3. Which, per the schematic, I was getting originally on 1 to 3. I was getting 36 ohms. So when I checked it, I was getting like, I don't know, 58 ohms or something like that. So I decided this wasn't my open area. My open area was 2 to 4. So I was looking at the wires from 2 to 4, this one and this one, which are intact. And I checked them again, then they were still open. I got it to this point with it almost completely out. Now, in the process of getting it out, I grabbed this with my pliers, my big pair of pliers, these pliers, and unfortunately I chopped into the coil right here. So the coil wires are shot for sure now. What I was hoping to do was actually try and find the open spot, and I was hoping it'd be halfway close to the top, although now that I get it out, I can see that those wires are down deep inside there. So I probably wouldn't have been able to do anything with it anyway. See, because what I was hoping to do is I was hoping I could find a break and ohm it out. At least give me a resistance that I could start to go by, figure out impedance on this. But it don't look like it's happening. So anyway, that was my attempt to solve the input transformer issue. So anyway, I got it out, got a mess. All right, clean it up. We'll be back. Okay guys, so I'm going to try something different. I've got the condenser can here. I've actually had it in my freezer upstairs for about 24 hours. It's very cold. A little bit of frost showing up on there. You can see my fingerprint there probably. So I figured I would get the tar all nice and brittle and try whacking it some and see if it comes out. That's kind of loose. And it looks loose. going to take it over the other side of my shop and put it on the floor. I'll be back. We'll see what happens. Okay, everybody, that actually worked slicker than snot, doing that freezing of this can in the freezer. What I did was I took it into my other area of my shop and dropped it on the floor a couple of times. And because these tabs stick out further than the rest, it allowed that to drop down by me dropping it. After I had whacked it a couple times, I just started dropping it like this. And we're out this far now. I was kind of pulling on it and hitting on it, and now it's coming out. So gets me. And there it is. So really, it looks like it was just this bottom probably that was adhered to the can, and then a few spots here on the side. Yeah, both sides. But I think by having that frozen, it looks like we got some fiber that was mushed up. The tar went in between and mushed up against it and made it tight too. But I think by freezing it loosened things up, made this shrink, and then I whacked it. And when I started dropping, it started coming out. So I think that's the way to do it. I think that's what I'm going to do on that output and interstage transformer can. I'll put that in the freezer. Okay guys, so here's the can all emptied out, pretty much all cleaned out. Here are the caps I'm putting back in it. Little different in size, huh? You think I can fit those in there? Yeah, just kidding. So it called for, the original ones were 2 microfarad, 4 microfarad, 6 microfarad, and 4 microfarad. They weren't electrolytics, but I'm using electrolytics in order to get the proper sizes, or close to the sizes. So for the 4s, I'm using 4.7. So I got 2 4.7s to cover the 2 4s. I've got an 8 for the 6, and I got a 2.2 for the 2. And these are all good 450 volts. Now, the other ones, the originals weren't nearly that high, but obviously this is. I'm going to make put these on like a little circuit board, I think, and what I got when I get it done. Okay, so I got my board for the filter condenser can all done. You see I've labeled all of them. That's the 4.7, 4.7, 8, and 2.2. And also label it right there for what the original should be. So my plan is that I'm going to bend these up or bend these down. And I've got them all soldered real nice. I got them strain relieved as well. I could have kind of come through the holes and hooked them up. I decided not to do that because I wanted longer leads so that I could like come down and then come back up. So now all I gotta do is get this mounted in the can, and we're in good shape. I have an idea for how I'm going to mount that. I think I'll bring you back when I get it in there. Okay, so here's how it's going in the can. I made 2 blocks that go from the bottom back up to the top and sit flush. When that metal top sits on there, it'll set on there and give it a little bit of support. The board is sitting in slots that I made in the wood, and I'll probably go ahead and put a little hot glue in the slot just before I finally set that in there. But this way in the future, if it needs to be lifted out, the whole thing can be lifted out. Also on the side that not get seen, I drilled a hole here and a hole here, and I'm going to run a pretty flat screw into those. But those will get painted brown and they'll be hidden anyway, so they won't be seen. So that's the way we're doing this. So now all I just got to do is get my strip cleaned up desoldered and get these new wires soldered into them, and I'll be ready to get that cam put back together again. Okay, I figured I'd give you guys one last look before I button it up. So there it is. You see the wiring in there. I got the wires all run up. So getting ready to screw her down. And that'll be it for the condenser can. You can see my little flat screws I have in there. When I paint this all brown, it'll look good. You won't even see it because that's on the inside. I made sure I put it, you can see where the shadows from where the paint didn't go before. So we should be good. Alright everybody, so here it is. I would say it's all done, but it's not all done because I haven't painted it yet, but I'm going to paint it at a later date. I'm just trying to get things done mechanically and electrically. So I'm pretty happy with it. This I'm not painting. This was not painted originally. That's why it was kind of rusty. So I cleaned all the rust off and I treated it with my Bow Shield T9 so it won't rust. And then I found some old brass straight head screws that I used to, and some nuts on the back side to hold it all together as far as this terminal block. It's all soldered up, it's all ready to go. One thing I did do was these terminal blocks originally in the can were flipped around closer to that side, but because of the way I put the board in and the wires, I had more straight shot to flip them around this way. So that's why I did. That won't make any difference inside once it gets in the radio. So everything's soldered together, everything's screwed together, the lids pop back on. It's ready to go. So I got the new output transformer on order. I got a new interstage transformer on order and a new input transformer on order. I've got the interstage and output still up in my freezer, but I'm going to save that rebuilding of the transformer cans for part 3. So I'm going to go ahead and end this part 2. Stay tuned for part 3 of the Victor R32 1929 TRF radio. Thanks for watching.